Well, hello everybody. My name is Connie and welcome to today's live webinar on how to admire and respect that which you see when you look in the mirror. I'm really excited to be here and honored that you are listening. So today what we're going to do is we're going to answer 4 questions, and then I'm going to give you 4 steps that I feel are really supportive in uncovering who you truly are and expressing that which you are from a space of authenticity. So what are those 4 questions? The 4 questions are, number 1, when you look at yourself in the mirror, what thoughts and what feelings come up? You know, when you look at yourself in the mirror, is it easy? Is it uncomfortable? Is there straight away feelings and thoughts of judgment? Does your body feel heavy? Does it feel light? So it's an awareness question. Question number 2 is, do you feel comfortable gazing at yourself when looking in the mirror? Do you look deeply into your soul, or do you sort of just look away? What's the experience like for you when you look at yourself in the mirror? Question number 3, similar. Can you meet your eyes when looking in the mirror? When you walk past a shop front and you catch yourself, and you're like, oh no, I look X, or I look Y. So do you meet your eyes, or do you avoid your eyes when you're brushing your teeth or washing your face? Do you look anywhere other than your eyes? And the last question, number 4, is, who am I? Who am I really? And this is an important question that everybody asks. You know, every one of us is on the same journey. There's an old saying that I really resonate with, and that is that we are spiritual beings having a human experience rather than a human being having a spiritual experience. And what that means to me is that our soul has chosen this lifetime to be human so that it can experience all that it means to be human. It can experience all the different lessons that it can, for many reasons, but a very important reason is that the soul chooses to experience the human form so that it can learn to remember, what it is like to be perfect, whole, and complete. So those are the 4 questions. The 4 steps that I'm going to lead you through today are, number 1, awareness, number 2, acceptance, number 3, release, and number 4, reprogramming. So let's begin, shall we say. Another really great saying that Louise Hay believes and says a lot is that she says, everything outside of ourselves is a reflection of that which is inside of ourselves. So people in our lives, public transport, food, our body, clothes, everything that we see outside of us is a reflection of whether we feel that we inside of ourselves are in alignment with our truth, which is our soul, or in alignment with our head, which is our conditioned views. And that's really the aim of this webinar, is to look at bringing you to a space of awareness, literally just trying to uncover one more layer of the onion peel, the onion, just peeling off one of the layers so that you can look at uncovering the truth of who you are, which is inside that layer. And this is a journey that we're on all together, but that's a continuous journey. And hopefully by the end of this webinar, you will have some tools that can support you in uncovering those layers. So let's look at the first question. And the first question was, when you look at yourself in the mirror, what thoughts and feelings come up? So just like everything outside of us is a reflection of that which is inside of us, a powerful technique to try and identify what belief systems you hold about yourself that are out of alignment is to look at yourself in the mirror. It's the fastest way to bring some of those beliefs into your awareness. Now, what are we trying to bring into awareness? Let's take a step back. So what I believe is that the human us, so we have a human form, and that is obviously the physical body, but the human us has a mind, and that mind is made up of many, many conditioned beliefs. We have the heart, which has the emotions in it, and I think that the emotions are really, really beautiful because they guide us in knowing whether we are in that moment thinking from the space of the head, the conditioned views, or the space of the soul. So if you're feeling very heavy anger, resentment, any distrust, anything like that, they're in the space of the head. But if we're feeling love, or if we're feeling joy, happiness, then we're in the space of the soul. So what are these conditioned beliefs? I feel and I believe that between the ages of 0 and 7, we take on conditioned views from society. Now that is, yes, like Bandura would say with the social learning theory, that is through observation, imitation, learning, and being conditioned that way. Of course it's like that. But what it also is about is it's about this feeling of, if you remember when you were born, you were this beautiful spark of light that was just perfect, that was whole and complete. And you weren't really worried about what you looked like. And more importantly, you weren't worried what other people thought of you. Okay, let me say that again because it's profound. When you were young, you were living from the space of your authenticity all the time. And what that meant was that you were only concerned about being in the present moment versus constantly judging yourself based on the opinions of those around you. But what happened to that carefree child was that there was a moment, and many moments after that, where they felt that who they wasn't good enough. So something happened, somebody said something to them, and they felt this pain. Everybody feels that sometimes. That pain where you think, who I am isn't good enough. And nobody wants to feel that pain. So the human reaction was to develop a defense mechanism. And that defense mechanism became the first of the conditioned views that you now hold about yourself. So actually the defense mechanism is a gift. We feel so guilty sometimes about the programmed views that we have about ourselves. But initially they were created to protect us from feeling really, really bad. So what happens is that situation happens, you feel really bad about yourself, and that's the first reflection of, well, I'm not good enough. You used to the world was only reflecting, I am good enough, I am, and now it's reflecting, I am not good enough. And what happens is that you don't only think that thought once, you then start to think that thought over and over and over again. And the more you thought that thought, and the more you think that thought, the thicker the trace, the neurological trace forms in the neurological networks within the mind. Which is why it's, although I'm hoping that this webinar is going to give you a beautiful awareness technique that you can do 5 minutes every day, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, it's going to be an ongoing process because we want to start stepping into a place where we reprogram the conditioned views to be an expression of the truth of who we are. But that's going to take us reprogramming, reconditioning. A habit isn't broken overnight, but we want to start creating new habits about ourselves and our lives. So the first step is awareness. If we think that everything outside of ourselves is a reflection of how we feel about ourselves, think about this for a moment. I feel and I believe that there are only 2 source beliefs. I am good enough or I am not good enough. And if you were to take a moment now, pause the webinar and come back, or, I'm going to be sending the recording, so my recommendation is that you listen to it again and you pause it this time. And then what you do is you go to the mirror and you look at yourself in the mirror and you give yourself permission to observe. Remember that child, like the first time that you saw yourself in the mirror, there was this curiosity, wasn't there? You were just like amazed at weirdness and the amazing. Well, it wasn't weird because weird is maybe a judgment, isn't it? But you observed yourself without any judgment. And you looked at yourself in your eyes and you were able to recognize the truth of who you were. So what we want to do is we want to look at ourselves without judgment in the mirror. And we want to take a piece of paper and a pen, and we want to write down all the thoughts and all the feelings that we have. And we want to put them into 2 columns. Are they reflecting I am good enough, or are they reflecting I am not good enough? Okay, so very, very powerful technique to bring into awareness what the thoughts are, and are they reflecting I am good enough or I am not good enough. Yes, today's webinar is about mirror work and seeing yourself as a reflection, but my encouragement from this moment forth is whenever anybody irritates you, whenever anybody upsets you, whenever anybody makes you feel any feeling or says something, is take a moment just to stop and to write down what the thoughts are that you're having about that person, and give yourself permission to really, really go there and to give yourself permission to feel. When we go to step number 2, which is acceptance, we very rarely give ourselves permission to feel. And it's okay to feel. It's okay to express, and it's okay to release. But in terms of the awareness, my encouragement is that whenever you have any feeling that is heavy, the vibration of the feeling is heavy, write down what the thoughts and the feelings are, and then put them in 2 columns. Is the feeling I am good enough or I'm not good enough? And that's really great. And then the second step is acceptance. Do you really accept the human? Now that I've explained that the human really is just a reaction to conditioned views that you've been thinking for the past 36 years of your life. And when you understand that that reaction was initially a defense mechanism, and when you understand that actually the person who's reacting is not this 36-year-old, it's the 3-year-old, the 2-year-old, the 4-year-old who is feeling upset and is feeling hurt. If a 4-year-old is feeling not good enough about something, how are you going to speak to them? Are you going to be judging them? Are you going to be saying it's not okay to feel? Or are you going to be, looking into their eyes and telling them that it's okay, that they are just human, and that it's just a human experience, and that just because they do things, or just because their actions or other people are saying things about them, the external has got nothing to do with the soul of who you are, which is that you are good enough. You are good enough just for being. Sometimes people do things that aren't okay, of course, but if your external behaviors are not okay, it doesn't mean that who you are is not okay. So when you look at the emotions and the feelings and the thoughts that come up in the awareness exercise, can you look at loving, honoring, and accepting the human in the understanding that they gave you a gift? They showed you the thoughts that you have about yourself that are out of alignment with the soul, which is the true expression of who you are. So awareness. I often ask, my clients the question, what do you do to honor yourself? And this is a really difficult question for people, because to truly honor yourself, if I ask you, what do you do to honor yourself? To truly honor yourself means to truly know that it is okay to feel what you're feeling, express what you're expressing, and then to release it. When we squash down the emotions, that's when the emotions get stored within our body. When you think a thought, it creates an emotional response, and that emotional response then becomes an emotional memory within the body. But if we think a thought, we allow ourselves to think it, we observe it, and then we, feel the feeling, but then we release the energy of that feeling within our body, then we're able to replace it with the truth of who we are. But that's not what we do. And that's my hope from today's webinar is that from now on, when we're processing and looking at ourselves in the mirror and reflecting on our own self-worth, we see it as a cycle. So if you're honoring yourself, you're treating yourself the same way that you would treat a young child. Okay? Which moves us to the next step, which is step number 3, which is release. Release and forgiveness. You know, we spoke a little bit about releasing that energy. But can you forgive yourself for being a human? Can you forgive yourself when you do react? We feel so guilty when we react sometimes. You know, we feel so guilty when we feel emotions because we step into the space of should. Whenever you feel that you are saying the word should, what you're doing is you're saying that what you are feeling or what you did is not good enough. And you're placing a judgment on it. But all that it is just something that you did. You know, I really believe that there's no right and there's no wrong. What do I mean by that? I mean that there is only human reactions. And that's not right. They're not wrong. They're just human reactions. So there's a reaction from the mind or an expression of the soul. There's no right, there's no wrong. There's only a thought that is in alignment with the head or a thought that is in alignment with the soul. So can you love your thoughts and your feelings that come up when you look at yourself in the mirror? And can you release? Can you be okay to forgive yourself? And can you release that in the out-breath of your life? And the fourth question is, and fourth point, which links to the fourth question, which is, who are you? Well, who you are is really that true soul expression. And your true soul expression is found in the stillness of the moment. Whenever you're feeling anger, resentment, what's happening is you're living in one of the conditioned views, or you're living in a thought that you had and have about the past. So in this present moment, your emotions and your feelings and your body and your thoughts, they're all in the past. And it's very hard for us to tap into the power of our soul and our authenticity when we're living in the past. Likewise, when we're living in the fear of the future, you know, that fear of being judged based on the boxes that are outside of us, you know, we give our power over to other people's opinions of us more than we give ourselves power based on the opinion that we have about ourselves. But when you're living in the fear of being judged in the future, again, there's no power. So if you were in the stillness of this moment, and you were able to just be and tap into that authentic expression of who you are, which is that you are perfect, whole, and complete just for being you. Not because of what you do, not because of what you have to prove. We live in this space in society where we feel we have to do and be something to be good enough. But the authentic expression of who you are is that you are good enough. You are good enough. And imagine seeing your world from that space. Imagine that everything around you was a reflection of how you are good enough. But it starts with you. It starts with you understanding that you have the power. Louise Hay says the power is within. The power truly is within you. We give other people permission to upset us. We have the thought. Now the idea is, and we put this whole thing together, let's say, for example, somebody says something that upsets you. It really, really upsets you, and you get angry or you get upset. Step number 1 is awareness. Okay, right, I'm upset. Why am I upset? So write down. Now, of course, sometimes we aren't really in the space where we can do this in that moment, but my encouragement is later on during the day or whenever you're in a safe space where you can do that, is go back to that moment and relive it. It's safe for you to do so. In fact, I encourage you to do so because it will give you the space to start to reprogram and live who you truly are. So it's a real gift for you to do that, and I encourage you to do that. So we go back to that space and we look at, okay, well, why did they upset me? Why am I angry? And we write down those thoughts. Where are those thoughts coming from? Are they, I am good enough, I'm not good enough? And then we just, interesting, that's a human reaction. Why did that happen? And we, you just do like a little bit of a Sherlock Holmes detective observation, but observation without judgment. Observation without judgment, because remember that original thought was that inner child, and that inner child is the one who's being upset. So then we look at, okay, we ask that inner child, right, what do you need? What do you need right now? How can I love you? How can I accept you? And what will that look like in this physical world? And listen to what your soul says. All right? And then thank the thought. Thank the thought and be grateful for the gift that it gave you, because it's given you a gift of now honoring what you need, now giving yourself the space to be okay with feeling. And now we're going to express it, and we're going to say, thank you very much for teaching me. We're going to breathe in, and on the out breath, we're going to breathe out that thought. It's blessed us, but it's no longer in alignment with the truth of who we are. And then on the in breath, we're going to breathe in, and we're going to connect to, well, I am good enough. And if I were to, and here's the powerful thing, if I were to re-see that situation through the eyes of I am good enough, and there is no judgment, what would that situation look like? And how would you see it? That's really, really beautiful, isn't it? And when you start to live each day and each moment from the space of the present moment, the stillness of the present moment, and tapping into the authentic expression of who you are, which is that you are good enough. Imagine taking a step like that every single day. Imagine waking up every single day. Imagine gazing at yourself in the mirror and seeing yourself through the eyes of the authentic you. Next time you see yourself in the mirror, I hope that this is the awareness that I have brought to you in today's live webinar. So the light within me greets the light within you. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to complete this live webinar by doing a meditation. So whilst I'm putting music on, I'm going to ask that what you do is you close your eyes. And I'll do that with you. We're closing our eyes. And we're going to integrate the healing that we experienced in today's webinar. I'm going to encourage you to take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And we're going to do 3 breaths like that, releasing the energy that no longer serves us from the mind. Now releasing the energy that no longer serves us from the space of the heart and the emotions that are trapped within our body. And now on the in-breath, we're connecting to the soul, the truth of who we are. And breathing out anything that is no longer in alignment with who we are. And we're going to take a scan of our body. Because when we're being mindful, we're really becoming aware of our senses. And when we're mindful, it's a great opportunity for us to release our thoughts and be in the moment and express from the space of our soul rather than react from the space of the mind. And anytime a thought comes into your head, Observe it objectively. Ask the thought, what's going on? Step number 2, love the thought, honor the thought. Send yourself love, ask yourself what you need. And then on the out breath, breathing out that thought. And on the in breath, breathing in a thought that is in alignment with your truth. And the circle of healing is complete with this thought. And when you're ready, you can start to breathe in more deeply and out. Bringing your awareness back into the room, maybe stretching if you need to stretch. See, how long did that meditation take us? Not very long at all. And that is the gift of today's webinar, is that meditation. Now that you understand the 4 steps, is that whenever you find yourself in a space where you're not feeling good, when you're feeling angry, when you're not liking what you see in the mirror, my wish is that, and my encouragement, is that you just do that quick meditation. And what you'll start to find is that you'll start to feel a lot more peaceful. And you'll start to find that what you do is you start to observe things through a different space. And you start to express more from the space of your soul rather than react from the space of your mind. Thank you so much for watching. And I hope that what I did is I removed one layer from the onion that is who you are as a person, so that you could tap into the truth of who you are. This live webinar is being recorded as we speak, so I will include it in my fabulous freebie, which you can find on my website, www.connieleebennett.com. And my request is that if I include it in my live freebie and I give you access to that, would you share it with those people in your life who you feel would really benefit from understanding that who they are is not the conditioned views that they have grown up believing, and that who they are is that authentic expression of light, which is that they are good enough. Again, the light within me greets the light within you. You are perfect, you are whole, and you are complete. And I look forward to connecting with you very soon. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for watching.